Ron Graham is all in. The turn card is a 3, and Annie Duke has defeated Ron Graham and has won her first World Series of Poker bracelets.
She conquered the table, then the table turned.
When they see mainstream people talk about her in this positive light, and they're like, do you realize the scams that she was involved in?
Before she battled poker legends on global stages, Annie Duke was simply a gifted mind, raised in a home where games weren't hobbies, but training grounds. With brains, boldness, and a knack for reading faces like open books, she climbed from Montana home games to multi-million-dollar titles. Fans celebrated her as a trailblazer, a mother who conquered a man's game with pure intellect. Then whispers turned into accusations, and admiration twisted into anger. How does a beloved champion become one of poker's most controversial figures?
I was going to be cheating everybody if I was playing.
Annie Duke's story begins in Concord, New Hampshire, on September 13th, 1965. Born Annie LaBarre Lederer, she grew up in a household where teaching ran deep. Her father taught English literature at St. Paul's School, while her mother taught at Concord High, but the real family curriculum wasn't in classrooms, it was played out on the floor of their study with a deck of cards. Annie and her brother Howard spent countless hours playing games with their dad. From Oh Hell to Hearts and Gin, they learned far more than just rules. They learned strategy, patience, and psychology. Annie later reflected that this constant exposure to games shaped both her and Howard's poker instincts, saying it was no coincidence that two top poker players came from the same family. Their evenings were filled with word games, Scrabble and Bridge, where Annie became her father's partner by the age of 14. Through these games, she learned how to read behavior, calculate odds, and know exactly when to bluff. Her academic path was equally impressive. After graduating from St. Paul's, Annie went to Columbia University, earning a double major in English and psychology. From there, she dove deeper into the human mind at the University of Pennsylvania, pursuing a PhD in cognitive linguistics. Her research focused on how children acquire their first language, a fascinating blend of psychology and linguistics. She even won a prestigious National Science Foundation fellowship, proving her brilliance was more than evident. But just a month before defending her dissertation, Annie made a life-changing decision. She walked away from academia entirely. Around that same time, she was introduced to poker by her brother Howard, who was already an established pro in Las Vegas. Married to Ben Duke and living in Montana, Annie began splitting her time between Montana and Vegas. One day, Howard scribbled a list of acceptable Texas Hold'em starting hands on a napkin using a tiny Keno pencil and handed her $100, telling her she'd do fine if she stuck to those hands. She took the challenge, went to the Fremont Casino, and walked away with $300, a small win that lit a lifelong spark. Encouraged by her brother, Annie began taking poker more seriously. With Howard's backing of $2,400, she built her first bankroll and started playing more regularly. Through the 1990s, she kept it casual, mostly playing home games in Montana or the occasional Vegas trip. But Howard kept pushing her to take it to the next level. Eventually, she gave in and entered the 1994 World Series of Poker. Despite her limited experience, she stunned everyone by finishing 14th in the $1,500 limit hold'em event, earning $7,230. Then, she made the final table in the 2,500 limit hold'em, finishing 5th for $26,500. Riding that wave, she even cashed 26th in the main event for another $16,800. From that moment, Annie Duke was no longer just Howard's little sister. She was a rising star. With a move to Las Vegas soon after, her journey as a professional poker player officially began. Now, by the late 1990s, Annie Duke's poker career was in full swing. She was living in Las Vegas, raising a family with her husband, and making a name for herself in a world still dominated by men. Then came her first big breakthrough in 1999. She played in the $5,000 no-limit hold'em event and battled all the way to heads up. Even though she fell just short of first place, she still walked away with a massive $110,000, her biggest payday yet, and a clear signal that she was becoming a serious force in poker. The following year, she proved it wasn't a fluke. Despite being pregnant with her third child, Annie entered the 2000 World Series of Poker main event, a grueling $10,000 tournament with 512 of the best players in the world. She fought her way deep into the field, finishing 10th and earning $52,000. It was the best main event finish by a woman since Barbara Enright reached the final table years earlier. Annie's fearless playstyle and calm focus had officially caught the poker world's attention. By 2004, life looked very different for Annie Duke. She was now a mother of 4 and one of the most respected female players in poker. Her playing style had become her trademark, bold, analytical, and rooted in deep psychological insight. Annie wasn't just playing cards, she was reading people, breaking down their behaviors, and using game theory to outthink even the sharpest pros. That year turned out to be her golden era. She won the $2,600 limit hold'em event at the WPT Championship and then captured her first ever World Series of Poker bracelet in the $2,000 Omaha high-low split event, taking home $137,000.
This is every poker player's dream, to have the bracelet and to say I'm a World Series of Poker champion.
Her incredible run continued through the summer, racking up over $650,000 in winnings and earning the title of top female money winner in WSOP history at the time. That success earned her an invitation to one of poker's most exclusive events, the 2004 WSOP Tournament of Champions. The format was brutal. A $2 million winner-takes-all showdown featuring legends like Daniel Negreanu, Johnny Chan, Phil Ivey, David Chip Reese, and even her brother, Howard Lederer. Facing such a stacked lineup would intimidate most players, but not Annie. Round after round, she stayed patient, made razor-sharp decisions, and slowly took down the giants of the game. In the end, she found herself heads up against the fiery Phil Hellmuth. Unfazed by his trademark theatrics, Annie outplayed him and took home the entire $2 million prize.
And wins the first ever World Series of Poker Tournament of Champions. And also the $2 million.
It was a legendary victory that cemented her place in poker history. Fast forward to 2010. Annie steps into the National Heads Up Championship and grinds through 3 exhausting days of one-on-one battles against some of the best players on the planet. Her final matchup, Eric Seidel, a poker legend in his own right, and Annie takes him down. She walks away with the title, $500,000 in prize money, and the honor of becoming the first woman to ever win that championship. Now by this point, Annie Duke was sitting comfortably at the top of the poker world. She had respect, wealth, and fame, plus a lucrative deal with Ultimate Bet UB. Her brother, Howard Lederer, was a major name at Full Tilt Poker, another powerhouse in the booming online poker scene. Everything looked golden until the cracks started to show. Around 2010, the poker world began rumbling with rumors of cheating. What started as whispers soon exploded into one of the darkest scandals in the game's history. Ultimate Bet found itself at the center of a massive storm involving super users, accounts that could literally see every player's hole cards. The mastermind behind it all turned out to be UB founder and 1994 WSOP champion Russ Hamilton, who later admitted to cheating players out of roughly $16 to $18 million between 2003 and 2007. The Kanawake Gaming Commission fined UB a mere $1.5 million and demanded player refunds, but only about 10% of the stolen money was ever returned. Even though Annie Duke denied having any knowledge of the cheating, her association with the company and her brother's own connection to the Full Tilt chaos cast a long shadow over her image. The timing couldn't have been worse. Still, Duke wasn't ready to fold. She helped launch the Epic Poker League, EPL, an ambitious, invite-only series aimed at elite players with big wins and spotless reputations. The league promised a thrilling season capped off by a $1 million free roll for top performers. It sounded revolutionary until poker's Black Friday hit on April 15th, 2011. That's when the U.S. Department of Justice shut down PokerStars, Full Tilt Poker, and Ultimate Bet, freezing millions in player funds and sending shockwaves through the poker economy. Despite the chaos, the EPL pressed on. Its first few tournaments went well. David Ream, Mike McDonald, and Chris Klodnicki took home big wins. But the momentum couldn't last. Sponsorship money dried up, debts piled up, and by early 2012, the league filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Players never saw that promised $1 million free roll, and to make matters worse, reports surfaced that Annie and other executives still received hefty six-figure payouts as the league collapsed. The poker world didn't take kindly to that. Already linked, fairly or not, to the ultimate bet scandal, and with her brother's full-tilt controversy still fresh, Annie became a pariah. When she showed up at the 2012 World Series of Poker, she was openly shunned. One pro even called her a disgrace to the poker community. That was the moment she knew her time in the game was over. Then in 2013, things flared up again when Russ Hamilton's secret tapes were leaked. Some claimed the recordings hinted Annie had known more than she admitted. She maintained her innocence, saying she only had access to hole cards for commentary work, not cheating. But by then, her reputation was too damaged to recover. After that, Annie Duke quietly stepped away from poker altogether. While others from similar scandals eventually resurfaced, she never returned to the felt. Whether it's because she's too busy, too cautious, or simply done with that world, one thing's clear. Annie Duke's poker story is finished, and she's not coming back to the table anytime soon.